Hello students, I am Dr. Garima Srivastava from Lal Bahadur Shastri College, Lucknow. Now I am going to take up the topic of forms of protection. Now we all need protection. Why? We need this protection for from injuries in the life. Similarly, for protection to the domestic traders, the government promotes different kinds of policies which are covered under the term protectionism. So, protectionism is a practice of following protectionist trade policies. These policies allow a government of a country to promote domestic producers and thereby boost domestic production in the country. Why so? Why do we do so? So as to protect the domestic producers from the improper effect of the imports that are being done in the country. And of course, it also states a type of healthy competition between the foreign products and the domestic products. So, it is also helping in the domestic production boost. So, there are certain forms of protection taken by the government: tariffs, subsidies, import quotas, voluntary export restraints, administrative policy, anti-dumping policy. So, for the purpose of this lecture, this video, I am going to take up tariffs. Now, tariffs. What are the tariffs? Tariffs are the barriers or the taxes that are imposed on the goods. They are done in different forms. Why do we do so? We do so that the imported goods do not pose a threat to the domestic market or the domestic product. So, for this purpose, the government imposes some kind of duties, some kind of taxes on the product, and thereby they keep the domestic market safe. Trade barriers are restrictions imposed on the movement of goods between the countries. Trade barriers are imposed only on the imports, but also on the exports. They are also done on the exports, so that there is an equilibrium maintained between exports and imports. The trade barriers can be broadly classified into tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers. So, first of all, we will be discussing the tariff barriers. Tariff barriers, as the name suggests, they include all kind of taxes which are imposed on the import of the goods from a host country into the home country. So, first of all, we have specific duty. Now, as the name suggests, they are specific to a particular good and they are fixed according to the weight or measurement of the goods. Specific duty is based on physical characteristics of the good. When a fixed sum of money keeping in view the weight and measurement of the commodity is levied, is known as specific good. That means, whenever the category of goods we see, we explain them in the terms of quantity, we can explain them in the terms of weight, then a specific duty is levied on such goods. Specific duties are easier to administer as they do not involve the problem of determining the value of imported goods. So, of course, as per we know the number or quantity of good and the price of each quantity of good, the specific duty is easy to be calculated. So, now what about those goods which cannot be calculated, like for example, some work of art. So, how you are going to evaluate it? So, we have some other kind of tariffs on such kind of goods. However, a specific duty cannot be levied on certain articles like work of art. For instance, a painting cannot be taxed on the basis of weight or size. Now, second is the ad valorem duty. We were talking about the products which cannot be quantified, which cannot be measured, and according to the measurement we cannot levy any kind of a specific duty on such goods. So, for those kind of goods we have ad valorem duty. These duties are imposed according to the value. Now, the government will analyze the value of such product, and then according to the value of such product, a fixed percentage of the value is fixed as ad valorem duty. When a fixed percentage of value of the commodity is added as a tariff, it is known as ad valorem duty. It ignores the consideration of weight, size or volume. For example, costly artwork, rare manuscripts. In practice, this type of duty is mostly levied on majority of items. Now, the third kind of duty that a government poses on a particular product is combined or compound duty. it is a combination of the first two type, that means specific duty and ad valorem duty. So, when we say a good has 10% of the value, that means it is ad valorem duty, and rupee 1 per meter of the cloth, that means it is a specific duty. Now, both the kind of duties are being charged on this particular meter of cloth that is being imported. This is the case with when both the duties are charged. Sliding scale duties, these type of duties are specifically applied on agricultural products. Why? Because agricultural products may be considered as seasonal products. So, one season may be of Rabi and the other season may be of Kharif. Similarly, the one season can be of sugar and the other season can be of apples. So, according to the fruit, according to the product, according to the seasonality, we impose sliding scale duties. The import duties which vary with the prices of commodity, that means according to the season, the demand and the supply of the product, the prices of the product also changes. So, with those fluctuating prices of the product, we will not be able to specify a specific duty, or we will not be able to impose any kind of ad valorem duty. In such cases, we need to apply sliding scale duties. So, such kind of which vary with the prices of commodity are called sliding scale duties. Now, countervailing duties. Countervailing duties, as the name suggests, they are imposed on certain imports where products are subsidized by the exporting government. So, this kind of duty is imposed on the import of products where the same products are being subsidized by the government. As a result, government subsidy import becomes cheaper than domestic goods. To nullify the effect of subsidy, this type of duty is imposed in addition. Then the next one is revenue tariff. Revenue means earning some kind of revenue from the people or the your domestic market. So, revenue tariff is applied on all kinds of goods where the government needs to generate revenue. So, they are designed in the form such that the home government is able to generate revenue from such tariffs. For example, luxury goods or a hotel or a restaurant, their revenue tariffs are being applied where the demand is more, and this kind of revenue is being generated from the people who are able to afford such kind of products. Then the seventh is the anti-dumping duty. Now, as the name suggests, anti-dumping. Dumping means we need to understand what is dumping. Now, dumping means when the product, when a country imports product of low quality, you can say, or imports product at a very low price, rock bottom prices to a country, and so as to remove excess of surplus of those product that have been produced in their home country into the other host country. So, this is called dumping. Now, anti-dumping policy means now we need to the governments need to stop the supply of, need to reduce the supply of dumped product into the economy. Why? Because the people will be willing to buy the product, because the prices have been slashed, and if we compare such product with the domestic product, the percentage of difference of such price slashes will be very high. So, in such cases the domestic market will be suffering a lot on terms of quantity as well as the quality. So, for that purpose government implies this anti-dumping duty so as to ensure that not more than a fixed quantity or not too much of dumping is done into the country. So, to offset anti-dumping effects, duties are levied in addition to normal duties. Now, protective tariffs. In order to protect domestic industries in stiff competition from imported goods, protective tariffs are being levied on imports. Normally, a very high duty is imposed so as to either discourage imports or to make the imports more expensive, so that domestic products may prevail. So, all these tariffs tariff barriers are being implied by the government. Why? So as to protect the domestic market from the domestic market from the excessive competition or the excessive exploitation by the imported goods. So and why so? Because if more imports will be there, there will be a deficit created in the economic structure of the country. So of course we need to import, but to a certain extent where it does not affect the economy. Now coming on to non-tariff barriers. Non-tariff, as the name suggests, they are not fixed in the form of taxes, they are not taken in the form of taxes, they are applied in the form of some kind of rules, some kind of regulations that the people from the host country need to understand while they import their product in the home country. So first of all, we have the quota system. Now quota, as the name suggests, quota means a particular part from a whole. That means we will be fixing the part, we will be fixing the proportion, the amount or quantity of the import that will be done in the country. So by fixing this import, we will not exceed the limit of exports, exceed the limits of imports, and so as to reduce the effect of deficit. So under this system, a country may fix in advance a limit of import quantity on the commodity that would be permitted for import from various countries during a given period. So now this can be done through our budgeting system also, and while learning all these exports and imports, balance of payments, we can understand what quantity will be required, what that exact quantity will be required, which imports are important for the country. So by fixing this limit, we will be fixing the quota system for various commodities. Now and it will be for different commodities. Now and of course, for different commodities you need to understand, again you will be applying the tariff barriers. So it is a combination of tariff barriers, that means you will be analyzing the product, and then after analyzing the product you will be fixing the tax, the type of tax you will be applying on it, and you will also be limiting the quantity which the product will be imported into the country. So the quota system may be divided into following categories: tariff quotas, then you have unilateral quota, multilateral quota and bilateral quota. Tariff quotas are of course related with the tax quotas, that means not more than this particular fixed amount can be, amount of good can be brought into the country. Then unilateral quota, that means you are only applying on one of the system in the process of imports. Then bilateral means if you are applying this kind of rule on 2 or 3 processes of the system of import, and if you are applying it on more than 2 process. Bi means 2 and multi means more than 2. Now if you are applying the system of taxes under the quota system, then it will be considered as multilateral quota system. Now we have product standards. Of course, this is also not related with taxes, but the countries still want that import should be reduced. So for this purpose, they fix up a product standard. That means they fix up the different standards for the product, and the product needs to imply by these particular standards. So if the products are down standards or they do not meet the standards that have been fixed by the country, you cannot import such kind of product. For example, pharmaceutical products. Then the third one is domestic content requirement. This is another kind of non-tariff barrier that the government can pose. They can force, they can pressurize the imported goods to use the domestic raw material, use the raw material from the home country and then prepare the goods. In such a form, you will be able to generate revenue also, and you will be able to generate opportunity for the suppliers of the raw material in the domestic market also. So this is a plus point, this is a positive point that has been taken up by the government through domestic content requirement. So they fix up this content requirement, that means you can say out of 100% of the product, 20% or 30% of the content of that product needs to be from the local or the domestic market of the home country. Then you have product labeling. Now, product labeling, of course, product labeling means you are labeling the product, you are giving all kinds of information related to this product. So, certain nations are specifically labeling the specifically forcing or focusing on the labeling of the product, where you need to give different information, and this labeling should be done in the local language that is being spoken in the domestic market. Why this is so? Because your customers are of that country. Now, of course, if you are labeling a product, you are giving some kind of information on the product label, then of course, the people should be able to understand. So, wherever you are going to import this product, the country can fix a particular language in which the label should be there on the product. Now, for all the importing companies, it would not be possible, because it will incur some kind of cost. So, for this can pose a kind of barrier for more and more imports. So, only those will import the product who will be labeling it in a language spoken in that particular country. Packaging requirement. Now, packaging requirement, as we say, as we were saying about product labeling, similar is kind of for packaging requirement. So, some of the countries pose a particular type of, they insist on particular type of packaging material. So, if that packaging material does not meet the standards of the country, you cannot package that material, you cannot import that material. For example, European Union insists on recyclable packing material, otherwise imported goods may be rejected. So, when we continuously check on the imported goods, it is necessary that we see that all such kind of formalities are being done by, which are being posed by different governments. Then the consular formalities. A number of importing countries demand that the shipping document should include consular invoice certified by the consulate stationed in the exporting country. Now, consular invoice means a document where all such informations about the product is being listed. So, sometimes countries need this consulate from the which is being stationed in the export country. Now, of course, when we talk about secrecy of the formula, or when we talk about secrecy of R&D department of that particular product, we will not be willing, as an importer, we will not be willing to share this particular information with the exporting country. So, of course, it will restrict your trade to a certain extent. So, for that purpose, countries take up this as an advantage, and they demand for this consular before the imports are being done in the country. Now, state trading barriers. In some countries like India, certain items are imported or exported only through channelizing agency like MMTC. Now, state trading means once you enter into the country as an importer with an imported good, the country forces and insists you to take up the network that is being already available in the country. So, for this purpose, you have to take up a network of channelizing agencies, like for you need a houseware, you need a godown, you may need a retailer, you may need a then again a display house. So, for this purpose, you will be taking up whichever is available in the country, and through this the country will be able to generate some kind of options for domestic network of channel. And so, this type of non-tariff barriers are being applied on the imported goods. Now, preferential arrangement means when we talk about import and exports, some of the agencies or some of the associations come into play, like NAFTA, ASEAN. So, and why are these being set up? They are being set up so that the member countries may gain more and more on these rules and regulations while they trade among the different countries. So, if you are a part of such kind of association, you will be having certain relaxation in the tariffs and regulations. Imports from the member countries are given preferences. So, of course, the people, the countries which are the member countries of an association, of which the home country is also an association, it will always try to give a preference to the product of that country only. So, for those countries who are not a member of such kind of association, it will be a problem. So, it is a problem, but this has to be done so that over imports cannot be measured. So, whereas those from other countries are subject to various tariffs and other regulations. Then comes the foreign exchange regulation. Importer has to ensure about the obtaining of a clearance from exchange control authorities. Now, this is a very much legal and a cumbersome process where you need to attain this clearance form. Now, this clearance form is given by the exchange control authorities, where they see your documents related to your banks, where you will be giving the money or through which your exchange will take place. Now, for that purpose you need to give all kind of information or documents related to your banking system. So, not all the traders, not all the importers will be willing to exchange such kind of information with the government. So, such kind of regulations are being attached, or such kind of barriers can be attached with the imported goods, so that more and more trade imports are restricted within the country. Similarly, we can have other non-tariff barriers, such as there are a number of other regulations related to your health and safety regulation. If we talk about health and safety regulation, of course, you must have learned, you must have studied on some kind of products that it is injurious to health, like you have seen on cigarette packets, it is already written that it is injurious to health. Why? Because you are giving an information to the customer that consuming it may pose a threat to your health. Now, of course, health and safety regulations are covered under this kind of packaging and labeling and all other kind of informations. So, these are a kind of barriers that may be imposed on the import goods also, and also on the export goods, so that people become whoever consumes it, whoever uses it may become aware about the health and safety regulations, health and safety outcomes of such kind of product. Similarly, we can have technical formalities. Technical formalities are related with the products which are which deal with technicalities. So, all kind of pros and cons you need to tell about that particular technical product. And then environmental regulation. Now, your product should not be such that it poses threat to the soil or air or water of the country. So, it should be such that it may preserve the ecology of the country where it is being imported. So, in all we have two kinds of imports and two kinds of tariffs, that is tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers. All these are related with the trade that is being done between the two countries, of course. So, when we talk about protection, now protection is can be done through tariffs, and tariffs are applied on the products that are being exchanged between the two countries. Once again, if I talk about tariff barriers, they are related to the taxes, and if we talk about non-tariff barriers, they are related to the non-taxable barriers which are imposed by the importing country, which are imposed by the country where the products are being imported. Now, now we need to understand what is protection. Now, protection of course is a word, is a term which is being derived from the term proteger, which means to protect. Now, why do we protect? Why the government wants? Why the national government wants to protect, and whom? Then the answer is that the government wants to protect the domestic market, domestic producers, domestic manufacturers from being overexposed or over exploited, or from being exposed to a threat of competition from the imported goods. Now, of course, when we talk about domestic market, it consists of consumers, it consists of people who are going to buy your product. Now, if there are people who are going to buy your product, you need to understand their demand. So, if there is demand, enough demand of your product, the people will be buying your demand. So, maybe if some other kind of imported good is already there in the market, it may pose a threat on the entry of new products in the domestic market. So, for that purpose, for the wealth gaining of the country itself, country will always focus on more and more industrialization. It will focus on the production process that is being done in the home country itself. So, all these tariff barriers are applied. Why? They are applied so that either country is able to produce, either country is able to increase the production process with the help of these duties, or they are able to safeguard the interest of domestic producers through the non-tariff barriers. And of course, they are also done so that the prices of the imported goods are in somewhat relevance with the prices that are being fixed by the domestic producers for the domestic products. So, these prices need to be fixed. So, because if imported goods become too cheap, the people will buy that and leave domestic product. Similarly, if domestic products will become too costly, then again the people will be buying the imported goods. And on the contrary, if we say that the local product manufacturer reduces the prices such that it competes with the imported goods, maybe it harms his business, maybe it harms his transportation cost, manufacturing cost, and he may land up into losses. So, for that purpose we need to check on the imports of a for country, and this can be very easily done by these kind of duties that have been applied by the different governments. And of course, these duties will also help the government to extract some kind of revenue from the imported goods. Similarly, if we talk about non-tariff barriers, these are the barriers where we cannot impose the taxes, we cannot take up the, we cannot stop, we cannot reduce imports by means of taxes. So, now we need to take up non-tariff barriers. So, non-tariff barriers are not related to money, but they are related to regulations, standards, they are related to product packaging, product labeling of the imported goods. So, all these information need to be given by the importing company. So, of course, when we talk about secrecy of that particular product, the company may not require, may not be willing to buy, or may not be willing to share their actual secret of research and development, or they may not actually take up the raw material that is being locally available in the country. The importing company may also not be willing to produce locally in the home country. So, they will restrict their business to a certain extent and will not import more and more in the country. So, in that purpose, if we restrict this import in the country, we will be decreasing, we will be fighting the deficit that may be created in future if more and more imports are there in the country. So, similarly, if we see about the consular formalities and other formalities like preferential agreements, state trading, foreign exchange regulations, all these are being implemented through different acts or different laws like Air Pollution Act, Soil Pollution Act. All these acts are implied on all the imported goods. So, the importer will always keep in mind that these regulations are important. So, ultimately I can say that tariffs and tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers will help the domestic market to boom and increase the production process of the country. Thank you.